Sam Darley here, and today I'm going to share my observations of the third and, in my opinion, the final preseason game in terms of, seeing how how I could project how good teams will be and how teams look. Of course, the regular season hasn't started yet, doesn't start till September 13th, but I judge the third preseason game because you get to see more of the starters typically. I mean, obviously this is a different year. My biggest observation is the Houston Texans offense is going to do very, very well under Brian Hoyer as their quarterback. I'm going to say this, I'm sick of seeing the hate for Hoyer. The guy can play, and I know he's had 6 years in the league. I know he hasn't exactly found it. He's been through the ups and downs in his career. But he has something in Houston he didn't have in Cleveland, and that is talent around him. He's got Alfred Blue, who could be a star running back in this league. I'll go ahead and say this: Chris Polk is nothing more than a short yardage back. So if they're ever in the third and inches or 4th and 1, you'll see a lot of Chris Polk. Kenny Hilliard has looked pretty good so far in the preseason for the Texans. Alright, the rookie running back out of LSU. And then you got Grimes. I think the Texans will be fine in the running game until Foster gets back. Foster is now expected to be out. He could return as early as the end of September. Well, that's wonderful. That's not good news for the Indianapolis Colts, and I'll get to that in a minute. Well, I'll go ahead and touch on it now. They can't stop Arian Foster. And if Brian Hoyer can play consistently good football for the Texans, that Texan offense becomes a whole heap of, well, goodness for Texans fans and a whole heap of trouble for the opposition. It just comes down to their quarterback. They got a great defense. J.J. Watt hasn't played at all in the preseason. I'll even touch on preseason injuries in just a minute. But I'm going to share a big observation. I think the Texans, with cut day coming up, they should strongly think about cutting Ryan Mallett. After losing the starting quarterback job, he really showed why he fell out of the first round in 2011. In the 2011 draft, teams were trying to meet with him, but he slept in. There was drug usage. He has the arm talent and the potential and the sky high potential, but the guy is just flat out wasting it. And honestly, when he lost the job to Brian Hoyer, he didn't back up the whole "I'm mature" thing. So, he's got the big arm, but again, there's more to being a quarterback than just having a good arm. And just in my observation today, he came out looked like absolute crap. And from my observation, from my view, it looked like he didn't care. Like he was just out there throwing a football. Like it didn't matter. And of course, it doesn't matter because it's preseason. But to him, it means he may never play in the league. He may never play in the league because teams are not going to take him serious enough if he's not mature. Now maybe Buffalo gets desperate and says, "Hey, we'll take a flyer on you, Mallett," or the New York Jets put in an offer. I understand he's frustrated that he didn't win the starting job, but you've got to act like a starting quarterback if you're the backup. You can't just be like, "Oh, I'm a backup," and then sleep late and. You can't do that. You just can't do it. How many starting quarterbacks do you know that do that? The second quarterback on the depth chart should be Tom Savage. I actually thought he was 27. He's not. He's 25 years old. It's clear as day that he's progressing nicely. I think the Texans are trying to ease him along. Excuse me. He's their draft pick from a year ago in the 4th round. He's a development kid, young man. But he really progressed nicely. He only played about half a game against Indianapolis, and that really didn't show much, except for he didn't have chemistry with the rest of the offense. And I think it's clear as day that the Texans are going to try and groom him. Well, that being the case, he should be the second quarterback on the depth chart because he's looked so good in preseason. He's looked good in camp. And maybe O'Brien doesn't see that he's ready to take the reins and lead the Texans to a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying the Texans are going to a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, because franchise quarterbacks, that's what you're expecting. You're expecting to win divisions, playoff games, championships, and maybe he's just not ready to lead the Texans just yet. But he is improving. He is improving in his intangibles. I like the offense. I liked what I saw today of the offense. Hoyer has never had a number one receiver because the number one receiver, Josh Gordon, is too busy smoking pot in Cleveland. And Cleveland Brown fans, you have no talent around him, and you're gonna see this year in Cleveland with Josh McCown and Johnny Manziel struggle, and I will be pointing the finger at the fact they don't have any talent on offense. They don't have anything that can help a quarterback. In Houston, they have Coach O'Brien, who knows how to coach Hoyer. He maximized the roster with Ryan Fitzpatrick to a 9-7 record a year ago. Now, not to say Fitzpatrick was a bad quarterback, but he was nothing but he was just an average quarterback. A nice backup to have. Really, that's just it. But he almost got them to the playoffs. O'Brien knows how to maximize talent. He'll maximize talent here in Houston again with Hoyer. And Hoyer is comfortable and has a good relationship with O'Brien. Plus, he has Cecil Shorts. He has DeAndre Hopkins. He has Alfred Blue. He has Arian Foster. And I don't know what Joe Buck is talking about the Texans needing a tight end to open up the middle of the field. They got Garrett Graham, and Graham caught 95 passes 2 years ago. In Kubiak's offense, yeah, he struggled. The tight ends have kind of struggled to pick up O'Brien's offense. But I think with the quarterback, with Hoyer knowing the system, knowing the offense, I think they'll be fine. I really do. I think the tight ends will have a nice season. Their defense is going to be elite. It just comes down to their offense. If the Texans' offense is consistently good, they're going to have a shot at the division, and they're definitely going to have a shot to make the playoffs this year. I'm going to go ahead and touch on this. I don't get what people are saying about the Colts. I understand they have Frank Gore, they have Andre Johnson, they've got more pieces on offense, but to me, I saw them the other day, their offensive line, still a question mark, and Gore is 30 years old. You can't expect you cannot expect a 30-year-old running back to run through walls. Father Time's going to catch up to him eventually. And Andre Johnson's not the receiver he used to be. He's still a good player, but he doesn't stretch defenses anymore. He's a good second option next to T.Y. Hilton. But I think the Denver Broncos, I would pick the Denver Broncos, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the New England Patriots before I pick Indianapolis to win this conference. Denver, Peyton Manning is still struggling with Kubiak's offense, but Denver's defense is downright brutal. I mean, they've got DeMarcus Ware, they've got Von Miller. Those two didn't put any pressure on Luck, and that's why the Broncos ultimately lost the game. That's where they lost the game, because when you're not putting pressure on Luck, he's going to pick you apart, like any quarterback. But you have two shutdown corners. And Peyton Manning at 39 years old, yeah, I see the concern there. C.J. Anderson's a hell of a running back. He's going to shred that Colts defense. The Colts defense does not match up with the Steelers. They don't match up with the Patriots. They don't match up with even at 39 years old, I don't know if they can match up with Peyton. And I definitely, this is the same defense that gave up 6 touchdowns to Roethlisberger a year ago. They only added Trent Cole. They didn't add anybody in the secondary. So, and they get Robert Mathis back. So yeah, they'll be better on the front line. But I'm talking about that second line of defense. Their offensive line is still got holes in it. And then there's the head coach. The head coach Chuck Pagano. If Jim Irsay really believed that Chuck Pagano could lead them to a championship, let's not forget he's expecting 3 championships out of Andrew Luck. If Jim Irsay believed that Chuck Pagano could lead that team to a championship, he would not be in the last year of his contract. He'd have a contract extension. Owners generally know when they have the right guy as their head coach, and they don't let it get to a last year of the contract. They don't. They just don't. I'm not buying what everybody's selling on the Colts. To me, in my eyes, and I still think this way with the Texans, until you beat that thorn, that team that has seemingly had your number And for the Colts, it's the Patriots. For the Texans, they have to go out there, beat the Colts, beat the Patriots. Continue to beat upper echelon teams. You have to. For the Colts, you have to prove that you can beat the Patriots. Well, everybody's just going to assume because they lost in the wild card round, they've improved every year. Lost the wild card round, lost the divisional round, then lost in the championship game, and then that they're going to just go to the Super Bowl. No, that's not guaranteed. They look good on paper, but you don't play the game on paper. And I think the AFC South is going to be very interesting this year, and I think it's going to be very tough for the Indianapolis Colts to win the division. Because I've had a chance to look at the other teams. I've had a chance to look at Jacksonville and Tennessee. Mariota looks like he's the real deal. I still think he's going to regret not coming out 2014 when he would have been the unanimous #1 pick because the Texans were needing a quarterback. Still kind of need a quarterback. Well, a long-term quarterback. They've got a good short-term option, and that's Hoyer. Hoyer is a good quarterback. He's not 5 years down the road, you're not going to be going, whoa, Brian Hoyer, whoa. But in the meantime, he's good for what the Texans have, which is a great defense, a good running game. And he can win you ball games. I saw him bring the Browns back and win games for them when they looked dead in the water in a couple of games. I think I'm trying to remember. Yeah, this looks bad. But Hoyer is a good quarterback. He went 10-5 in his season and a half, because he tore his ACL. His first time around when he took over the starting position in Cleveland, and like Bill O'Brien said in Hard Knocks, he deserves a real chance, and he had really only one full season, and with no talent around him. So, like I said, he's got Hopkins, he's got Shorts. I still think Jalen Strong should be the third receiver. You don't trade up for him if you're not going to start him. That's just my observation. That's just my opinion. If you're going to trade up for somebody in the draft, you're not trading up for somebody to set them on the bench. You're trading up for them because you're sold on them. You think they could start and make an impact on your team right away. And I think O'Brien needs to start Jalen Strong. The Saints' defense still looks pretty bad. Oh, I never touched on the other teams in the South. Jacksonville always plays hard, and I think if Bortles, to me, I'm not sold on Gus Bradley as a coach, and I'm not sold on Ken Whisenhunt as the coach of the Titans. But I feel like the Jaguars, they have a very underrated defense, and yes, they have a better defense in Indianapolis. I'm sorry, they led the league in sacks last year. They're not a bad defense. They did win 3 games a year ago, and much of their improvement is going to depend on the progression of quarterback Blake Bortles. I'm still not sold on Bortles as a franchise quarterback, but that's just me. We'll see. But they play hard. They're feisty. They'll give everything they got. Really, the only thing that separates all these teams is the quarterback position. The Texans have an elite defense. The Texan defense allowed 26 points in the final 5 quarters against Indianapolis. They top-rated one of the top offensive teams in the league. But again, for Houston to be taken seriously, they got to beat New England. They've obviously got to beat Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. But they got to beat these upper echelon coaches, these upper echelon coach teams like New England, like Pittsburgh. They don't play Pittsburgh this year, but they had a chance to beat them last year, and they blew it. The Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid's been to 5 NFC championships and 1 Super Bowl, and he's won 11 division championships as a coach. He's a great coach. They got to prove that, and they've got to go up to Indianapolis and find a way to get a W up there. Will it happen this year? Fingers crossed. I hope it happens. But yeah, I don't like Indianapolis in the AFC because I just don't think they match up with any of the top tier teams. I certainly don't believe in them beating. I don't believe they're going to beat New England. I don't see them stopping Le'Veon Bell, and I don't see them stopping Ben Roethlisberger from throwing another 6 touchdowns when they've got Martavis Bryant and Antonio Brown on the outside, and then, like I said, they've got to stop Le'Veon Bell. I don't think they can stop. I don't see them. I don't know how they can match up with that, with all that firepower in Pittsburgh. To me, the best defensive teams in the AFC, at least on paper, are Houston, Kansas City, Baltimore, Denver, and I'm gonna throw Jacksonville in. Jacksonville's a pretty good defense. But again, Jacksonville's progression as a young team, they're the second youngest team in the NFL. Their progression is going to hinge on Blake Bortles. If he has a great second year, they could make some noise in the division. It's going to be interesting to watch. Now, for the Saints, they're not going to win any jump balls this year. Their best jump ball player is wearing a Seahawks uniform. And Jimmy Graham. Brandon Cooks is going to catch me by surprise. I think he's caught everybody by surprise in camp. He's had a really good camp. He's had a really good preseason for them. I think he can be the number one, actually, from just what I saw. He's going to be able to stretch the defense. He's so quick. Breeze is going to have vertical options, but I think when you're down on the goal line and they like to throw the ball up in the air for like a jump ball situation, they're not going to win that. They're going to miss Graham there, but their defense still has to improve. Their defense, I'm not sold on at all. I got to see Jameis Winston the other night. I really think the division, I may have gotten that wrong. When I picked the Falcons to win it. I'm going to stick with that pick, but I'm not going to be sold on it. Because as I've seen Drew Brees, how he handles a vertical threat with Cooks, seems to have great chemistry with him. They can do a lot of damage, and they obviously got better in the pass protection, and that's really what they valued in that trade, is a Pro Bowl center that can protect Drew Brees. They really said, hey, we value this position more than teams are going to start copying the Cowboys. They really are. They're going to start building up their offensive lines, and you're going to start seeing some pretty good offensive teams, because to me, your offensive line drives your offense. If you don't have good protection for your quarterback and good run protection for your running back, guys that can open up holes for your starting running back, you're gonna have a hard time doing anything offensively. Your playmakers are gonna have a hard time getting the ball where they're comfortable getting it, because the quarterback's under duress a lot. I think, to me, I find the Saints defense, if it's not middle of the pack, they don't really have a shot to win in the playoffs. They could make the playoffs. Winston looks like the real deal. I'm thanking the football gods that he didn't end up in Tennessee, because he looks like the real deal. And of course, the regular season will tell all the stories. It will tell everything. Green Bay suffered another injury. I just touched on this in preseason, for the preseason injuries. If you don't want it to happen, then your team's head coach has to do what Bill O'Brien did with the Texans. Rest your superstars. J.J. Watt hasn't played at all in the preseason. He hasn't. Bill O'Brien doesn't value preseason. He values practice time, practice reps. And of course, these guys are trying to make the team. They're leaving a good impression in a game situation, but there's no J.J. Watt out there. There's no Fitz Wilfork out there. Cushing's had some reps, but and obviously the quarterbacks, the quarterback competition. But overall, you don't see the Texans' biggest guns out there. And besides Arian Foster and Dwayne Brown, they're going into the regular season at full strength. That's a huge plus right there. That's a huge, huge plus for them. And I think we said, we should cut down the preseason. No, your head coach should be smart to say, this guy's been in the league. This guy's been a superstar in the league for like 5 or 6 years or even longer. He doesn't really need the preseason reps. Let me give a kid that's trying to make the team more reps in a preseason game. And your head coach has to be smart. Your head coach has to know your team. your head coach know, oh, I've already lost a star receiver in Jordy Nelson. I'm not going to put Randall Cobb out there. That's just a Captain Durr moment right there. That Jordy Nelson's injury should have said to Mike McCarthy, hey, I should probably rest Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers, and Devontae Adams. They don't need to play in the preseason because they're superstars. They've been in the league. Well, Devontae Adams, this is his second year, but he'll be a star. I mean, he'll come in and produce. Maybe a little bit more. He's a little bit more athletic than Jordy, but Jordy can, obviously, he's obviously Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. They're gonna miss him, and this could really help Eddie Lacy. This could help Eddie Lacy get more touches in the regular season, and he should get more touches in the regular season. But yeah, to me, it's on the head coach. It's on the head coach how much these guys play in preseason. And you can blame preseason all you want. The fact is, the head coach has to know his team, how much reps they do or do not need. As clear as day, some of these stars don't really need a whole lot of reps because you know what you're going to get from Aaron Rodgers, you know what you're going to get from Jordy Nelson. Maybe you throw them out there for a series and then that's it. That's it. The real games, when it all counts, start September 13th. The Texans will take on the Kansas City Chiefs. The New Orleans Saints will take on the Arizona Cardinals. You can catch me on my blog, samdarley.sportsblog.com. This is me giving my observations and my thoughts on preseason injuries. Thanks for watching.